Good evening, neighbors. I'm Sean, one of the pastors here at North Cross. On behalf of Pastor Melissa and our brothers and sisters at Gashland and our brothers and sisters over at Faubian and Pastor Tim, I would welcome you. If you're joining us online, a welcome to you as well. We gather on this Good Friday to remember, to reflect. To aid in both counts, we'll be featuring a number of images this night, stations of the cross, if you will. Featured art from Scott Erickson. You can find his art at Scott the Painter. You'll see his images tonight, and if they inspire you to dig deeper into this story, and you might want to follow more of what he does. After each reading and song, you'll have an opportunity to reflect. Let this story be more than just readings. Let it be for you the story of Jesus offering himself. We want to offer ourselves in the ways that we can. And so tonight we will be receiving a missional offering. 100% of the proceeds for this offering will benefit a shared ministry that I believe all partnered in here in the North, a turning point, helping some of the most vulnerable in our community, those that are experiencing hunger. The rear of the sanctuary, as you exit tonight, if you are so moved, I invite you to leave your offering there. If, like many of us, you do not carry cash any longer, you might want to text your offering. You can text that word GIVE to 816-844-6159. That funds my vacation. It does not do that. There's a memo there that you can add in a turning point, or you could put Good Friday, whatever you want to do to signify this offering. Again, 100% will benefit our ministry partner, a turning point tonight. Will you pray with me? God, prepare our hearts to receive these words, meditations, reflections. Help us again enter into this story, knowing that it is our own. Amen.
For 40 days, following the way of Jesus, we have traveled the path of trial and temptation. We have been asked to face our weaknesses and our brokenness, to confess our sins and ask for forgiveness. Now at last, the journey nears its end. Remembering our wilderness experience have led us to this moment. Jesus has washed our feet, blessed our communion, given us a command to love one another. Still, we wrestle with how we walk for Jesus. We accept his way? Will we love as he loves? Or will we reject the life he offers? Will we turn away and live apart from God? Tonight you are invited to consider your response as we hear again of the sufferings of Christ. As we draw near the cross, where light and hope and life are extinguished. As we remember the death of Jesus. Please remain seated and join us as we sing together when I serve the wondrous cross.
Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here. Keep watch with me. Going a little further, Jesus fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it's possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Could you men not keep watch with me for 1 hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." Jesus invites us to picture him as friend. Instead, we reject him. We live as strangers and, worse, as enemies. We abandon him when he needs us most. And yet, he never stops loving us.
While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd, armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him." Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Friend, do what you came for." Then the man stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ears. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him, "for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father? And he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels. But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way?" At that time, Jesus said to the crowd, "Am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place, that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. Jesus invites us to picture him as a teacher. We live as if we have nothing to learn, pretending to be experts. We insist we know more than Jesus. We offer the condemning kiss, believing we have chosen the right way.
Very early in the morning, the chief priests with the elders, the teachers of the law, and the whole Sanhedrin reached a decision. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. "Are you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. "Yes, it is as you say," Jesus replied. The chief priests accused him of many things, so again Pilate asked him, "Aren't you going to answer? See how many things they are accusing you of?" But Jesus still made no reply, and Pilate was amazed. Now it was the custom at the feast to release a prisoner whom the people requested. A man called Barabbas was in prison with the insurrectionists who had committed murder in the uprising. The crowd came up and asked Pilate to do for them what he usually did. "Do you want me to release you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. Knowing it was out of the envy of the chief priest had handed Jesus over to him. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to have Pilate release Barabbas instead. "What should I do then with the one you call the king of the Jews?" Pilate asked. "Crucify him." "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted louder, "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified.
They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand and knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. Jesus has come to relieve our pain and suffering. He has invited us to picture him as our healer. Our sickness has blinded us. Our illness has made us deaf to the cure. Instead of being healed, we spread our pain and suffering.
Two other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, there they crucified him along with the criminals, one to his right, one to his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. The people stood watching, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he's the Christ of God, the chosen one." The soldiers offered him wine vinegar and said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God?" he said. "Since you are under the same sentence, we are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve. But this man has done nothing wrong." Jesus invites us to picture him as a rebel standing against tyranny and oppression. Instead, we are complicit with the powers seeking to tear down and destroy. We join with those who mock Jesus' rule. We refuse to leave our kingdoms of hate and fear and death.
There's a place where mercy reigns, never dies. There's a place where streams of grace flow deep and wide. Where all the love I've ever found comes like a flood, comes flowing down. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in all of you. I'm in all of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white. I owe all to you. I owe all to you. There's a place where sin and shame are powerless, where my heart has peace with God and forgiveness, where all the love I ever found comes like a flood, comes flowing down. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in awe of you. I'm in awe of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white, I owe all to you. I owe all to you. Here, my hope is found. Here, on holy ground. Here I bow down. Here I bow down. Here, arms open wide. Here, you saved my life. Here I bow down. Here I bow. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in awe of you. I'm in awe of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white, I owe all to you. I owe all to you. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in awe of you. I'm in awe of you. Where your love ran red and my sins washed white, I owe all to you. I owe all to you. I owe all to you. I owe all to you, Jesus.
Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, "Dear woman, here is your son." And to the disciple, "Here is your mother." In dying on the cross, Jesus invites us to picture him as our rescuer, offering to save us from our separation from God and one another by creating a new family. We ignored our mothers and fathers. We turned away from our brothers and sisters. We chose independence and alienation over community.
It was now about the 6th hour. And darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour. For the sun stopped shining. The curtain of the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he had said this, he breathed his last. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified. They exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Friends, I invite you to take a moment to consider the story that you've heard again tonight. Consider again our part in the crucifixion, the death of Jesus. My God, if you have forsaken Christ, what hope is there for us? Please join me in a time of silent reflection.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him when they crucified my Lord.
Friends, as you prepare to go back out into the world, I would ordinarily offer you a blessing, a benediction, a word of hope to carry you into what's next. But friends, our hope has died. There is no joy or peace. We do not celebrate because death has won. Go and find what comfort you might.